Hello, freelance friends. I am walking out the door, and so you are going to hear some city sounds. Heading to the cafe to get some work done. I was just making my BLT sandwich, and I realized something. I was thinking about AI because yesterday I was doing a lot of emails and job hunting, and I was talking in the Discord chat about how bad it is at emails and how bad it is at being a casual human. I currently use Claude, but I did use ChatGPT before, and same thing. It just sort of feels like when it's casual, it's overly enthusiastic. And then when it's professional, it's like very just okay. But it got me thinking about the shifts that are being caused by AI and the obsession with AI, etc. And also just the overabundance of content, of advice, of information, and how easy it is to quickly pump out a shit ton of anything, really. And I don't know why that was hitting me as I was eating my BLT, but it hit me that AI, I think, and like LLMs specifically, are going to shift the goalpost, because in the way that, usually people are obsessed, or like society is obsessed with productivity, right? But now with an LLM, anybody can be productive or look productive or pump out mass amounts of something. And so now that the productivity playing field is leveled out, in the sense it's accessible to say I can send 200 emails a day or whatever, it means that in order to be competitive, you have to actually speak about results. You have to not say, I can send 200 emails. It's more like, when I send 200 emails, 50 people, became leads and 25 became clients, whatever. You need to kind of lead with results at this point, because anybody can just say they can pump out 1,000 pieces of content or whatever. The differentiating feature is, what did it do? What was the result at the end of that, And that kind of made me happy, or makes me feel hopeful, because I, among others, are so sick of, what people are calling slop, but also getting, shitty cold emails from people who clearly don't give a fuck. And so I rest my case of what I said on my Substack a couple months ago, which is like, yeah, being a human is your biggest advantage. Like, it's just like, you're not competing with AI. It's quite literally not comparable. And obviously I'm not talking about with coding or certain things like that, which you are. But if you are in some sort of industry that's more creative or more human-centered, it's just simply not really that big of a deal. You just have to, learn how to get results. And the other reason that kind of makes me hopeful is because as I was looking through job postings here and there in the last year, specifically a lot yesterday, I'm noticing a shift in that there are certain places where they're listing an insane amount of roles, responsibilities, and tasks. But even the roles and responsibilities are very often just tasks. And as somebody who's, understands business, it's always a red flag for me when a company isn't able to say what result you're responsible to. And because for me, it just means, oh, we want a paper pusher. We want somebody that we can put all of these different types of tasks on your desk. We can throw them to you and you have to do them because it's on your job description. But being responsible to a specific amount of results is like what actually moves the needle, like for a business or for a business. That's why they're hiring you. Usually when it comes to budgets, they allocate a certain percentage of sales or profits to your salary, knowing that you're supposed to be creating or maintaining a certain amount of sales or quality or retention or something like that. So it's just sort of like I'm starting to see that shift specifically in smart businesses, I would call. Like nonprofit sector tends to still be behind there. But it kind of made me hopeful and made me realize, I'm not saying the change is going to happen tomorrow, but it's kind of inevitable, because if we look at even content right now and all that is out there, it's getting harder and harder to make an impression, to stand out, to, actually create something sustainable, because the barrier to entry is so low. Like here I am just walking outside making a quote unquote podcast. Like it can just be, anyone can fucking do it. So it's no longer about, do you have the confidence to create a podcast? Are you able to? It's, are you able to make a mark with it? Are you able to attract people with it? Are you able to grab attention? Because right now we're all struggling, myself included, to sustain a person's attention or an audience's attention. And so that's kind of why things are getting sloppy and crazy, and like why we have these like manosphere incels and these people who are super extreme, because that's the only way they're able to grab attention. If you look at interviews with them, if you watch the documentary, if you watch Channel 5 fucking interview with what's his name, Clavicular, whatever, it's just so obvious that they don't even fully believe what they're saying. Like they're sort of just like everything's just about attention. And can we blame them, really? I mean Clavicular, or like, not manosphere people, they're fucked. But, it's just, anyway, so that's sort of my aha this moment. And I'm going to segue that into another point, which is realizing also the last couple of days that realizing that one of my beliefs is that being new to something, or being, green, as they say, is actually your biggest advantage. It's your biggest advantage. Many people feel bad not having experience or not knowing about something. But like a certain industry, example, like had a hair salon, I learned business, I got into orgs, I thought, I probably don't know anything. But then once I got there, it really didn't take very long to understand how these structures work. Same with communications. Where am I going with that? Where I'm going is that I think we very often think that if we don't have the experience, we need to prove ourselves, and we need to acknowledge it. And, let's say you're applying to a job. It's like yesterday, I was working on an application for a company that is looking for a membership renewal specialist. And it's for a company that's pretty cool, actually. I had specifically looked them up because I was like, if I was to work for a corporate type of company, what would it be? And it was this company, Alveol, which they do local honey, but specifically they set up beehives on top of buildings in the city to help upkeep the health of the bees and of the ecosystem, I guess. And as I was applying to that, I was like, okay, my CV, obviously I've never worked in a large company like that, but I was like, my advantage is that I haven't worked in a company like that, and that I'm very like human-centered. Like I was like, why this job attracted me was because they specifically said the job is like, yeah, it's basically just talking to people, understanding why they are or are not renewing their memberships. And they specifically said your job is not to retain everyone, it's to understand why people leave so we can create systems that, you know, can catch those people in the future or can prevent that in the future, or see what we can offer, you know, what we can build to solve those problems. And I was just, when I read that, I was like, yes, because even when I had my hair salon, that was exactly how I thought about it. When there were complaints, when people weren't happy, it wasn't about convincing them to be happy, or, you know, because a lot of people do that, but it was about understanding what went wrong, where our perceptions were different, and trying to solve that problem in a semi-systematic way. Example, oh God, sorry for all the noise. Example, that's why I had created this like really intense consultation form and process that I taught the whole team, because it really, like, I guess the word would be mitigated a lot of potential areas where there's room for error. And because of this process that I created, it was literally a consultation that takes 30 minutes, and we would charge $30, which is unheard of in the hair industry. Most people do free consultations and they literally take 2 minutes. But I was like, no, we're going to take our time. We're going to write shit down. We're going to give real advice that's pertinent, and they're going to pay. And to make up for it, if they become a client, then they can use that $30 towards their next appointment. That was my compromise. And what that did was it actually made our client retention, even throughout like growth, was between 70 and 80%, which is unheard of in that industry. Most hair salons, I think it's like 30%, like the average neighborhood salon retains 30% of clients. And before I did the expansion, our retention rate was 80%. We were a team of 4 and we had a very good clientele. Then obviously I added new people, so it took a while in the last year, but it only affected it to like 70%, the lowest, because we had to bring on new people, which means new clients. But anyways, I'm saying all that because I was just like, this job is random as fuck, but I actually think I would be good at it. And I actually think the advantage is that I'm not from that world. I'm not from corporate world. And I think it's actually cool that I'm, you know, somewhere between professional and creative and just very human. And also the fact that I understand business, because I was like, oh, as a consultant, I'm constantly talking to people about their budget, about their goals, about where they're at, where they want to be. I'm very able to have these uncomfortable conversations about business that people might feel shy to share. And yeah, so anyways, that just, as I was all doing that and like reflecting, I was like, I think my competitive advantage is my background and how like different it is to like most people's paths. And also because, so example, when I first closed my salon and was like looking at job options, I was quite insecure, because typically when you tell someone you have a hair salon business, they don't really think of you as an entrepreneur. They just sort of think of you as a hairdresser who got an opportunity for like a little corner shop, and you probably don't know what you're doing. You don't understand systems, blah, blah, blah. So I just sort of was like, fuck, like, how can I apply this? How can I apply this in other worlds? Because I didn't want to stay in the beauty industry. And I quickly learned that literally almost everything I know about business comes from that world. Specifically because I understand like what people call customer journey, what people call, client retention, loyalty, the importance of, listening and of listening for like between the lines. And I know how to hold space. And like, I just was thinking in writing my cover letter also, I was like, it might sound random, but hair is literally directly affects how people feel about themselves. And so if they're not happy, you literally are making them feel uncomfortable every day after they leave. And so I'm just like, if I've been able to manage that and share with a team how to manage that to the best of our capabilities, like I can handle a lot, So anyways, I was thinking about that, and this also applies to, was having a consultation call yesterday with a client and talking about a range of things, and it came to me that I think we're so often accidentally following a script, in the sense that we're like, oh, this is how people do coaching. This is how people do, consulting. This is how people do OnlyFans. This is how people do Instagram. We are unknowingly or brainwashed, I don't know, to just sort of follow the status quo, but to think that we can do it differently. But I'm just realizing that in this ultra competitive economy, it's quite literally the opposite. Like, if you're going to do what everyone is doing, whether that's Instagram, OnlyFans, coaching services, whatever the fuck, I think the most you're going to get more attention from doing the opposite of what everyone's doing. So, example, I put my Patreon at minimum, I think it's 55 Canadian or 45 Canadian, something like that, a month, because I'm just like, fuck this $9 shit. Fuck this $9 shit, this $5 shit, like 15, etc. I was like, what do I actually want? And I've been saying, I don't want volume. So I was like, let me cap the different tiers. Only so many people can join each tier, and they'll get access to different things. There's 55, 95, where you also get access to an archive of workshops. And then there's the big mentorship, which is like a weekly meeting plus access to everything else, which is like 200 and something, basically $60 a week. And I was just like, yeah, fuck it. Like, fuck it. I don't really care. I don't care. Like, if nobody signs up, that's fine. I will still keep creating this, and I can turn it into something else later, or release free episodes from time to time. Again, sorry for the noise. But yeah, I'm just like, fuck it, because when I want somebody to intentionally choose, I want somebody to intentionally choose to pay and to fucking engage and to take it seriously. And all this $10 shit, it's like, yeah, it's just, I think we're all worth more than that. And I understand trying it, and I have no shame if people want to, but I'm just saying, try. Why not just try to put it higher and just see? You don't know. You never know. And that might be the thing that gets somebody to think, oh, this person takes themselves seriously. This is probably better quality. Also, like, if I'm trying to find clients for consulting, etc., just like a $10 Like, I need people who have budget. And if $50 is nothing to you, then like you're probably my person. You know, you're probably my ideal client. So yeah, so I'm thinking about that and rethinking overall all this paywall shit, because I think we're all doing a lot for free. And it's funny because maybe a month ago or so, a friend of mine was talking about paywalling Substack and this and that. And anyways, we were talking about that, and I was just like, ugh, I haven't really considered paywalling it, because for me it's like a visibility tool, and I want it to funnel into other things. But just sort of thinking that I might switch that up. I think that, again, just as an experiment, not saying forever, but I might start paywalling certain sections, etc. Because I think, yeah, why not? And I think there's something to, I don't know, there's something to it. Something's calling me to, I don't know if it's about being a little more private, like paywalling sort of minimizes the amount of people interacting, which is what I initially didn't want, because I was like, I like getting comments, I like knowing people read it, etc. But you know what I actually want to know? How much people actually like it. Like, literally, how much? Show me. Because, and I'm not saying, like, you know, for Substack I wouldn't charge $50 a fucking month or whatever. Like, right now it's $9 a month or $30 for the year, or you can fucking pay what you can as a founding member. But it's just like, yeah, we're doing so much for so little. And I don't know, I'm starting to feel maybe we need to be a little more protective of it. And yeah, so I'm rethinking that. I haven't made any changes yet, but it's something I'm thinking about. And I saw a Substacker I really like talk about it as well, and mention they're pretty, like, much bigger, have a lot of readers, and they were just saying, like, they started paywalling everything because they were getting too many, you know, either hate comments or people trying to argue or shit on their ideas, take it out of context, etc. And they had to paywall to, like, quote unquote, keep it a safe space. And I honestly am like, yeah, that makes so much sense. And I was like, I could just keep everything that's free now, and going forward start paywalling, because if they want to get a taste of, like, my writing style, they can just read all this shit now. And from time to time I'll have free sections or free posts. So yeah, we'll see. It's something I'm thinking about. But again, I'm thinking, like, if that's the case, what becomes my visibility generator? If it's not Instagram, maybe it's YouTube. If it's not YouTube, is it Patreon? I don't know. I'm looking at the options. And I came across yesterday this business bro that I was listening to his YouTube, and he brought up the blue ocean versus red ocean theory, and it really felt accurate. It was basically saying exactly that. Like, you know, in the red ocean, basically everybody's competing for the same piece of pie with the same offering, just wording it different. And he's like, but in the blue ocean, you're you know, a category of one. Basically, you're competing against yourself because what you're offering is unique. And it's funny because I fucking came to this conclusion 2 weeks ago with a bigger client of mine who runs a native consulting firm. And we were talking about services. They've been open for over 10 years, and it's scaled huge. It's across Canada. They've got over 100 employees. And they were just talking about, how do they describe what they do? Because they do a shitload of things, and they're like, some people know we do research, some people know we do legal stuff. Like, we are having trouble positioning ourselves. So I was doing a positioning workshop, and again, I think my advantage is that I don't come from that world. The fact that I come from a hair salon business background, it actually means that I'm able to talk about business in a way that's very human and easy to understand. I had to explain all these business principles to hairstylists who essentially wanted to do hair because they didn't give a fuck about working in an office. So I figured it out, And so anyway, so I explained marketing and business and communications to them in a way that they were all mind blown. And some of these people have been to fucking John Molson School of Business, like one of the guys, like I did one slide that had a chart that just explained the difference between branding, marketing, communications, and positioning. And I guess I just said it in a way that he'd never seen it before. Because, why? Because I literally made it up myself. It's like, how do I explain this? And he was just like, whoa. He's like, I wish I saw that 10 years ago. He's like, that makes so much sense. And I was like, sick, And I could have went into there being like, let me put this through ChatGPT. Let me make sure it makes sense. And I'm telling you, every time I asked fucking Claude or whatever for advice, like just to make sure that what I was saying made sense, it always made it worse. It made it worse. Because it's fucking just regurgitating the same shit. So anyways, when I was talking to my client, I was talking about how they could speak about their services. Because I was like, right now, your website has 10 different offerings that are still unclear. It's not really clear what result you're bringing to the table. People don't buy research, they buy results, or they buy you fixing their problems. So anyways, we talked about all that, and we kind of came to the conclusion at the end where I was like, you know what? I was like, I think you need to offer 3 services or 4 services max, but you completely make up the name, and it's based on size of problem or size of community that you're helping or size of the org you're helping, like, because that's the only thing that makes sense. Because they were just like, all of our services are customized to what the community needs or the client. And usually it goes based on budget or how intensive the research needs to be, etc. And I was like, okay, so then if it's about matching goals to your capacity, just make it 3 levels of support. Because ultimately at the end of the day, what they do is support, they support Indigenous communities in land sovereignty. So if the government or another community is challenging them for either the borders of their land or is trying to collaborate with them on some sort of joint project, they act as a middleman to support wherever they don't have capacity or knowledge. So if they don't know about legal stuff, or if they don't know about, how to defend themselves in a way that, let's just say, colonial structures appreciate, then this firm steps in and helps. And I think that's a super, fucking noble job and important. And I was just like, yeah, offer 3 levels of support. That's literally what you do. But the fact that you're breaking it down into what you do, so the details of what you do, we research, we consult, we research, we develop strategies, we, they have all these words for the actual act of what they do. I was like, they don't give a fuck, the client or community doesn't give a fuck how you get the result. They just want the result, and you're confusing them by telling them what your job is, So anyways, And that's, oh yeah, and to wrap that up, that my point is that if you offer 3 levels of service that you've named yourself, that aligns with your specific offering, values, etc., then you're competing against yourself, because every other consulting research firm uses the same language. So when you say, we have the, I don't know, blah, blah support package, or the this support package, or the, Firelight fucking freedom package, whatever. Then they're like, oh, I haven't seen that anywhere. I love the sound of that. It's like more intriguing. And so, I don't know, bro. This is what I am digesting today. I'm almost at the cafe, to which I will be creating a document today on positioning to wrap up this contract. But I hope you enjoyed this fireside chat. Hope it wasn't too windy. I hope that you have a good day. And if you have anything to share in the comments, go for it.